role of the First Amendment to protect their ability to be involved. That's why my memo begins by saying that we respect the right to spirited debate about curriculum, about school policies, about anything like that.
So it's not just a good idea, it's actually protected by the Constitution of the United States. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
On October the 4th, a few days later, less than a week later, after the National School Board Association wrote this letter, the Justice Department issued the memo that's already been discussed. Why did this rise to the level of a federal concern as opposed to being addressed at the local and state level?
So this arises out of repeated reports of violence and threats of violence, not only with respect to school boards and school officials and teachers, but as I mentioned earlier, also with respect to secretaries of state and election administrators, judges, prosecutors, senators, members of Congress. The Justice Department has two roles here. We assist state and local law enforcement in all ways, and we enforce federal laws which prohibit threats of violence by telephone, by email.
Well, you as a longtime federal judge with a distinguished legal career, you understand that not every crime, assuming it is a crime, is a federal crime, correct?
Absolutely.
And some of these things, unless there's some nexus to interstate commerce or to the federal government, they're largely within the purview of the state and local law enforcement authorities, correct?
I think you put that correctly. We have authority with respect to the mail, with respect to the internet, with respect
right.
to
well,
the
I'm
telephone.
not. Well, let me give you an example. If somebody says to the school board member, if you do that, I'm going to meet you outside and punch you in the nose. Is that a federal offense?
No,
or
that's not a federal offense.
I agree.
There's nothing in this memo suggesting that it is.
And why in the world would you cite the National Security Division in this memo as being one of the appropriate entities of the Department of Justice to investigate and perhaps prosecute these offenses?
So my memo itself doesn't mention the National Security Division. It is mentioned in another memo that was released by the department. The National Security Division, like all the other law enforcement components, cooperates with and is involved in discussions about how to go forward on different kinds of matters. They were involved, for example, in the election threats. They were involved in the threats against judges and prosecutors. They were involved in the hate crimes threats cases. It's just a natural part of our internal analysis.
Let me ask you, did you see the National School Board Association letter to President Biden before you issued your memorandum on October the 4th?
Yeah, yes, I did, and that was part of the reason their expression at the beginning of that memorandum of.
And they raised some of the concerns that you voiced here today, correct?
They raised some of them. They raised others that I don't agree with and were not included in my memo.
Well, you're aware that on October the 22nd, the National School Board Association apologized for its letter. You're aware of that, aren't you, sir?
I am, but...
And it said that, went on to say, we regret and apologize for the letter. There was no justification for some of the language in the letter. They acknowledged that the voices of parents should be and must continue to be heard when it comes to decisions about their children's education, health, and safety. You did not apologize for your memorandum of October the 4th, even though the National School Board Association did. Why didn't you rescind that memorandum and apologize for the memorandum?
Core responsibility of the Justice Department, as I said in my opening, is protecting Americans from violence and threats of violence.
But you just said not every act of violence is a federal crime, correct?
Right, and not every bit of street crime and the kind of violence that we've been talking about earlier today is also a federal crime, but we assist state and locals to help them in their investigations of these kind of matters. Every single day in non-federal matters, We are partners with our state and local partners.
Well, Mr. Attorney General, you've acknowledged that parents have a right, a constitutional right, to be heard on the education of their children in public schools. Can you imagine the sort of intimidation, the sort of bullying impact that a memorandum from the Department of Justice would have, and how that would chill the willingness of parents to exercise their rights under threat of federal prosecution? Did you consider the chilling impact your memorandum would have on parents exercising their constitutional rights?
The only thing this memorandum is about is violence and threats of violence, and it opens with a statement.
But my question is, did you consider the chilling effect this would have on parents' constitutional rights?
To say that the Justice Department is against violence and threats of violence.
Did you consider the chilling effect your memorandum might have on parents exercising their constitutional rights? I think you can answer that yes or no.
What I considered, what I wanted the memorandum to assure people that we recognize the rights of spirited debate. And so
Mr. Attorney General, you're a very intelligent and accomplished lawyer and judge. You can answer the question. Did you consider
I do not.
the chilling effect that this sort of threat of federal prosecution would have on parents' exercise of their constitutional rights to be involved in their children's education?
Don't believe it's reasonable to read this memorandum as chilling anyone's rights. It's about threats of violence, and it expressly recognizes the constitutional right to make arguments about your children's education.
As senators are going back and forth for votes during this time.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.